Nixon had the best night of all the defensive backs. He was lockstep with all these wide receivers and did a fantastic job in playing through the football. So defensively, it was a great game, and offensively, I thought it was an even better game, in my opinion, from the tight ends. You got chunk plays from Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, which helped open things up on the outside. So total team effort for Green Bay, but that defense and how they played this Washington offense, along with those tight ends, really impressed me.
For the second straight week in a row for the Packers, great complimentary football. You talked about the stout defense led with a great running game by Josh Jacobs. They're just playing football the good old-fashioned way, man, the right way. Running the football well, making things difficult for opposing passers, opposing offenses, and that's what we saw. And you need to get accustomed to seeing this, especially from the Green Bay Packers defensively, because it's going to get uglier. Remember, Micah Parsons is not in football shape just yet. He's still in the midst of a pitch count. What happens when he's fully conditioned, fully ready to go, to be able to get all the opportunities that he has missed because of the pitch count? So it should be, if they stay healthy, my goodness, man, it could be a fun ride for the Green Bay Packers and a difficult ride for whoever they face off against, especially opposing quarterbacks.
You know, games aren't decided in 30 minutes, but so much of this game was dictated in that first half. Mac, to what you're saying there, Micah Parsons was on the field quite often because the Commanders kept finding themselves in those Micah Parsons type downs, third and long situations. The offensive play calling seemed to be a little off kilter. The defensive want to, not necessarily there either. I just want your take here on Washington's effort on this night, for lack of a better term, Mac. It seemed like tackling being an exercise in will. The will wasn't there early.
It seemed like they didn't have a game plan, especially on the offensive side. You talked about seeming to be a bit slow. The chemistry was never there. It starts and it stops with the running game, right? You look at their top three rushers. You got JCM, 17 yards. Austin, 17 yards. Jayden Daniels, 17 yards. As a team, they averaged 2.7 yards per rush. That is losing football, especially when you're playing against a defense that has an abundance of pass rushers. So what happened, Joe, Emery, they were losing first down. A win offensively for first downs, on first down, is any 4 or more yards. That's a win. But when you're averaging under 3 yards per carry, you're in long second down situations. You're in long third down situations, and now you allow those pass rushers to do what? Peel their ears back. Joe, you said something before we came on camera about the decision to trade Brian Robertson Jr. Now, at the time, of course, before the injury to Austin Eckler, it still was a bit confusing to me because Brian Robinson provided an element in their backfield that they no longer have in terms of a bigger back that can lean on opposing defenders. That's what he did. The way they coexist, Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler really made their running game take off a year ago. So now when you look at the injury, the lack thereof at depth, man, they got to find a way to run the football because just being a one-trick pony will not get you far in the National Football League.
Eckler featured early in this one. We didn't see Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt until the second quarter. Eckler was the feature back in that offense. He goes down with a non-contact Achilles injury per the team. No further information on the extent of it, but that's usually a binary 0 or 1, hurt or not. And we're hoping for the best there for Eckler, but it did not look good. Moving forward, that run game, they got outgained $135 to 51 in this game. A huge indicator of where the final score is going to be. How do you get that going when you have such a talented +1 in the run game in your quarterback without just saying, Jayden, go find us the 100 yards rushing?
You either got to get him going, running the football with his legs, some design QB runs, which you don't want to do for Jayden Daniels because he can do it on his own. I think he's a better scrambler than he is a designed run guy. And also, you have to hit some short passes. They average, 3.9 yards a pass? That's not going to get it done either. If this was a college football game, Jeff Hafley's Boston College team beats Cliff Kingsbury Texas Tech squad. So this was a masterclass of defensive coverage and defensive scheme against Cliff Kingsbury. They couldn't hit the short passes, they could not run the football, and nothing worked for them offensively, and Green Bay did what they wanted. So if you're going to try to get things going in the run game, you either are going to have to, what we talked about earlier in the week, Joe, allow Jayden Daniels to call plays from the line of scrimmage, go up tempo to dictate the terms, and not allow Green Bay to dictate, because that's all they did tonight. And that's how you get things going. You could have pass to set up the run. They couldn't do either, so nothing worked for them offensively.
Let's get to the offense on the other side here, because again, I think the word that immediately comes to mind for me is balance with this Green Bay offense. Uncertainty in the wide receiver room, still not an issue. This time, Jordan Love leans into his tight end and Tucker Kraft. Love goes for 292, 2 touchdowns, hasn't thrown an interception in now 9 consecutive starts. Kraft goes for 124. Nobody else goes for more than 44 yards, Emery. How do you make sense of this passing attack? It was obviously plenty, but how much does the tight end unlock things in this version of the Green Bay Packers?
When you have a good tight end that can get open and make plays like that, it makes you difficult to defend as a whole offensively, because now you kind of shrink the field to where everything on the outside starts to work. They went on 2 90-plus yard drives. That right there allowed them to get into any kind of groove they wanted to get into. And when you have 2 tight ends like they have, they were able to really balance the offense out. They got inside the red zone. There was 3 or 4 inside the red zone. That's why they were able to come away with those or pay off those long 90-plus yard drives. So when you have a Tucker Kraft, and now next week's opponent is going to come in and try to game plan for him, well, guess who's going to eat? These receivers out on the perimeter. So when they have these healthy weapons like B-Mac talks about, if they're out there healthy on the perimeter, we saw Savion Williams get a touch and, show some creativity. That's something to keep your eye on down the line, along with the efficient running game. So they haven't been explosive yet, but they were pretty doggone consistent, which got them to win.
And see, that's the luxury that Matt LaFleur has in the midst of his offense when you talk about the passing game. It's not like they're Destiny Child where you just have Beyonce and that's it. No, they're like New Edition, where any given time someone can be the lead singer for that particular song and they can still do numbers. So tonight, it was Tucker Kraft. Next week, it could be Matthew Golden. Who knows? But that's a great luxury to have, because they have so many guys at any given moment, they can take that mic and go ahead and bring the song in, take it all the way home, and have all of us dancing from start to finish. And guess who was the lead singer tonight? It was Tucker Kraft, and he did a great job. Man, make sure you go get some cheese and wine.
Where they going to have to cool it now, though? Those 10 penalties for 77 yards.
You just wanted to get
I wanted to get that reference in there. He brought up New Edition. I had to get that reference in.
I wasn't going to stand for the disrespect of Kelly Rowland. But we do have a show to do. So maybe let's go like this. If Week 1 was their hit single, the Green Bay Packers, this was a follow-up album, and it's been a statement made in each one of these instances. The Lions in Week 1 to say, North runs through us, and then what we thought preseason would be an NFC contender in the Washington Commanders, and they handle them with little issue either, Mac. What sort of statement do you take away from this first 2 weeks of the season, this first 10 days of the season for the Green Bay Packers?
They're opening a lot of eyes in the National Football League. But what I want to see, Joe Emery, is the same dominance, the same production at home. I want to see this travel, right? That's what I want to see. Because when you're talking about being a championship team, what you do at home, it follows you. Now, they have the recipe to have success on the road. Great